In 2019, advocate Shamila Batohi was appointed to lead the NPA. State capture had decimated both the country and the prosecuting authority, so Batohi's appointment was a welcome relief. And she promised the nation to put those responsible behind bars.
We are acutely aware of what the people of South Africa want.
That same year, former NPA prosecutor Hermione Cronje took the reins of the Investigating Directorate, the arm of the NPA that would investigate and prosecute state capture crimes.
There are a lot of things that you see in a docket that you just can't fathom.
Two powerful women with the same aim. But their alliance wouldn't last. Within 3 years of working under Batohi, Cronje left the NPA for a second time.
I am deeply frustrated, as are most South Africans, who are desperate for real good news stories coming out of the NPA.
Now Batohi's former deputy can no longer remain silent.
I don't think it's helpful to sugarcoat. We really are in a crisis.
I'm Susan Comrie, an investigative journalist for amaBhungane. This investigation is a look at recent high-profile state capture cases and why the NPA is failing to successfully prosecute them. In December 2021, lack of skills, lack of strategy, and internal sabotage prompted Cronje to leave the NPA. She was replaced by seasoned prosecutor Andrea Johnson, who became a household name as a member of the prosecution team in the Oscar Pistorius trial. Johnson came in guns blazing. Suddenly, there were multiple high-profile arrests. Transnet, Eskom, a former cabinet minister. In a meeting with staff in 2022, Batohi was in a celebratory mood.
Maybe after 6 months, we're going to be celebrate, popping lots of champagne.
The first state capture case the NPA would take to court was Nulane. It was a 25 million rand feasibility study that would persuade the Free State government to release R500 million into an equally controversial scheme known as the Estina Dairy Project. The omens weren't promising.
The bottom line is we didn't have the capacity, we didn't have the skills in-house.
In January last year, the Nulane trial got underway, but the case soon began to unravel. News 24 legal journalist Karen Maughan was in court.
There was such a profound lack of seriousness from some of those investigators that it was mortifying. The basics required of any successful prosecution simply weren't done.
The judge called it a comedy of errors and hammered the NPA for how it had approached the case.
That criticism, I think, is devastating. Admitting documents into evidence, that's trial work 101, right? And the fact that the judge thought we were hopeless at that is devastating.
When cases like this go wrong, Batohi has the power to intervene. Why did you not intervene when you saw that the case was going off the rails?
How do you know I didn't?
Did you?
That would have been a good first question.
But did you intervene in that case?
Of course I did. There are lots of things that happen behind the scenes because we understand the reputational damage for an NPA when these cases fail.
Why were those interventions not successful?
I have no idea, right? I cannot say because we did the best we could.
In April 2023, the courts dismissed all the charges against the accused. The NPA is now left hoping for a retrial, and there's a good chance that may never happen. At the height of state capture, 𝗀𝗃𝗃 Coko was one of Eskom's most powerful executives. In October 2022, Coko, his wife and his stepdaughter were arrested for an allegedly corrupt multi-billion rand tender connected to the 𝗀𝗃𝗍𝗍 power station. But the arrests were premature because the investigation was incomplete. Sam Sol leads the amaBhungane Center for Investigative Journalism.
It's easy to arrest people. It's not that easy to bring them to trial and to have a successful prosecution. And that is what counts. The point is you reduce confidence in the organization if you arrest people and then you can't follow through.
After a third postponement, the magistrate struck the Coko case from the roll and told the NPA to come back when they were ready. Glenys Breitenbach is a former NPA prosecutor and now a member of parliament.
There's just no other way to describe it. You screwed up Nulane. Now you've got Coko et al. On the roll, and it gets struck off. I mean, struck off. How? How is the National Prosecuting Authority not ready with their cases?
It wasn't ready because it didn't hire forensic analysts to sift through the digital evidence seized from Coko's premises. Why were the seizures not done first before bringing the case to court?
That is a very good question. We've learned a lot of lessons from this, and that is, I agree with you. I've said to prosecutors, let's ensure that these searches and seizures are actually done earlier so that when we don't have the same problem.
Unless the NPA brings this 2.2 billion rand corruption case back to court, Coko and his co-accused are off the hook. Nulane and Coko, two vital state capture cases, both failed in court within months of each other.
In summary is that the NPA can't deal with complexity. They can't deal with complex commercial crime cases, and they don't know how to sequence their battles, sequence their targets, and prioritize.
The NPA boasts about its many successes. It's enrolled 547 corruption cases and convicted 700 government officials, it says. But it just can't get a serious state capture conviction in the bag.
Colleagues, if we do not deliver in the next 6 months on state capture cases relating to our SOEs, no matter what else we do, the country will see us as not having succeeded.
But now, after 2 years of disappointments, Batohi is backtracking, calling state capture cases 0.01% of the NPA's work. To say now that it's 0.01% of your work feels quite convenient now that those cases are not going anywhere.
Doesn't mean it's still not our focus. There's nothing different at all.
In August, the Investigating Directorate Against Corruption became a permanent part of the NPA. This is the unit that they hope will emulate the Scorpions and once and for all put state capture actors behind bars. Matthew Sisoko is the head of investigations at IDAC, the successor to Cronje's Investigating Directorate.
The Eskom Transnet SAP contract, that one is still under investigation.
Yes.
The Transnet Neotel contract, that one I assume is also still under investigation.
Still under
investigation. The Transnet cutting edge contracts, the locomotive contracts, the relocation of the OEM, SAA Mumbai Lufthansa, Denel.
Still under investigation.
I mean, objectively, isn't the NPA in a worse position than it was 2 years ago?
Well, it depends from which vantage point you are looking at it, you know. From where we are sitting, we are making quite a progress in these matters. These are complex matters, and you're dealing with the kind of accused who have all the resources to fight.
The NPA says it has a much longer list of cases where arrests have been made, but arrests are not convictions.
We have enrolled 37 cases in the ID. We have an ex-Speaker of Parliament in court. We have an ex-president that's being prosecuted. We have the Secretary-General of a ruling party.
Sure, but you're saying Delivery is getting a case enrolled. Now, a number of those cases that have been brought to court have been struck off the roll. We've got the Nulane case, the first major state capture case.
How many more?
We've got the Estina case, struck off the roll. We've got the Coko case. We've got the charges being withdrawn on the EOH case. The Transnet case has been in court for 2.5 years. That still hasn't proceeded to trial.
That's the way these systems and processes work. Nulane is under appeal, right? Coko will be re-enrolled, okay? Estina will be re-enrolled. In my view, these are not failings yet. They are serious setbacks that we have properly interrogated and that we are learning from, but they're not failures.
But what if the family at the center of the state capture narrative, the people alleged to have had undue influence over government and access to its riches because of their closeness to a former president, the Guptas? If there's one thing that would change the sentiment around the NPA, it would be bringing the Guptas back to South Africa to stand trial. Instead, we keep letting them slip through our fingers.
We knew who the Guptas were, we knew what they had done, we knew what the implications were, we knew that we wanted to prosecute them, and yet they hopped on a plane and buggered off.
The Guptas escaped to Dubai, and ever since South Africa has been trying to get them extradited. Then, in May 2024, one of the Gupta brothers, AJ, was arrested in India on an unrelated matter. The NPA had a second chance to catch the state capture mastermind.
And were we ready? Did we have an indictment that featured AJ Gupta? Did we immediately have a docket that we could send to the Indian authorities to say, hold this man for us, we want to extradite him? And we have a treaty with India? No, we are still trying to tread water, trying to keep our head above water, giving spin.
With both the Nulane and Estina cases struck from the roll, even if the Guptas are caught again, there is no case we can use to extradite them. Do you think that you've been tough enough for this job?
I don't think what I think about myself is important. I think I leave the people of this country and for you all to make your very considered judgments on that, and let the work speak for itself at the end of the day.
Right now, it's speaking volumes.